I hear him coming. He's coming.
Good morning, guys and girls.
Good morning, everybody.
Good to see you guys here. And as usual, we're laughing before the show. So,
oh goodness gracious! Oh, there you went. Gail popped in.
How did I wasn't gone that long.
Yes, you were.
yeah.
You were going for like 20 minutes.
It was like 7 minutes before I left. I'm sorry.
What did you do? Go have breakfast?
Did you have to
No,
run
I
out
mean,
to Starbucks in that major metropolitan
I
area?
just
you
went and
live
got a
in?
cup of coffee. That's all.
Well, it's his fault then.
Gotcha.
That's his fault. Oh,
Everybody's got to go watch Dennis's last update.
yeah. Go watch his last video.
Yeah,
It was pretty good.
I spit.
Hey, Dennis, did you get that stuff taken care of?
Say again, Jerry?
Did you get that stuff taken care of?
The
No?
vacuum cleaner is back in the house, yes, but I need it again because the floor is terrible.
Maybe you need to buy one.
Well, yeah, I do. I really do need a good small shop vac that I don't have. That's an investment that I really do.
Just run a hose off your dust collector. That'll work.
Well, that's the thing too. Problem is
Those
I
hoses-
run a lot of hose.
Those hoses aren't cheap either.
Yeah.
Steve, why don't you do the rundown right quick?
We were having too much fun the last hour before the show. Go, man. Good morning, Rob T, man. Allison. Hi, Gail. Take care of that guy. And Dwight Curley, Steve Anderson, and Uncle Wilmer. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Wilmer.
Hey, I got to say something real quick. Hey, John Schuylkill River Valley, happy belated birthday to you, buddy.
Oh, happy.
Yeah, happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, John.
Let's see, where was I at? Rob T, man. Digger. My buddy Bernard. And I think that's it. Almar. Sorry, Almar was here too. Did I miss anybody?
Yeah, did you get Mark?
No.
With CB&Q? Yeah, he's in here. Yeah.
Dave.
Okay.
Deanna. Oh, we got John Schuylkill River Valley. Happy birthday.
Nothing slow about Steve.
Don't give me a hard time. We got Ethan Armitage.
That's why Steve's on the short bus.
Grandpa Rez just popped in.
Oh,
Good to
give
see
me
you guys.
I'm on the short bus. Yeah,
Oh, mercy. So, what's everybody want to talk about this morning? I did absolutely zero to my layout this week because I've been doing my
But
back
when was
all
the last
week.
time we got to see your layout, Claude? It's been.
I didn't do anything to it. It's still covered. It's still got the tarps up and stuff for plaster work. I'm going to try and get up there today and do some more. But I was down on my back all week. So I didn't even go up there. Because a lot of what I'm doing is on the top level, and just reaching up to that top level when your back's hurting is not good. So I didn't do a lot, but I'm feeling much better today. So I will be getting up there and doing some more. So maybe next week I'll have some to show you. Or I need to do a layout update is what I need to do.
hey, Gary. We got Big Gary. Welcome.
Good morning, Gary.
Hey, yeah.
We got to get you on the show, Gary.
We should. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, back on the show. We had him on the show
We did, yeah.
year and a half ago, something like that.
Oh, it's time to
Really?
get back.
Pre us guys.
Get him back on here. We need to get Bernard on the show too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bernard's been lurking around too long. We need to get.
Have we ever had John Arthur on the show?
I don't think so.
He's another one that I'd like to get on the show.
Yeah. John's got a
Well, contact him,
layout.
set it up.
Yeah, he's about 15 minutes south of me. I've been over to his place. He's been up here to mine. He's got a nice layout. Really good on scenery.
Well, get a hold of him and set it up, and we'll get him on.
Yeah, I'll give him a ping this weekend. See if he's interested. Pretty sure he would.
Whatever weekend's good for him. Yeah, we can do that.
Gary got my tree. I sent him a tree because he won a contest, right? He says he almost used my tree. Remember that? I've forgotten that.
You sent a tree to somebody?
Yeah, Gary, Big Gary. He won a
Oh,
contest.
Big Gary. Okay. Well, yeah, he's in scale too, isn't he?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So, hey,
Yeah,
John,
Gary's got a nice layout too.
Yeah, it's got a real nice layout.
that's a good question, John. He wants to know where the traveling box cars are.
I've got them. They're sitting over here on the shelf.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Shannon was talking about revamping that whole thing and doing new ones, but I haven't talked to Shannon much in the last 6 months, so I don't know what he's planning on doing. I'm just going to hold on to them until then because I don't know where else they're supposed to go. I don't have all that information. I don't think it's in the box. The addresses might be in there, but I was thinking Shannon was doing them on a need-to-know basis and for the next person to go. So I'd have to get a hold of Shannon, but the time change is a lot more right now, so I don't know if I'll ever get a hold of him.
Are we in that time of the year that it makes it even harder for him?
Yeah. Then when they're back, because I'm not sure. I'm still not clear on how it works. But anyway, they're more time separated now than
It's
than
like
they were
1
before.
o'clock in the morning instead of midnight.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, he had talked about revamping that whole thing, and I don't know what he's going to do. I think his plan for these were to give them away in a contest. So, but he hasn't given me any more information on that, and I didn't want to do anything with them until, I heard about it. So I have them. They're safe, and I've got the books with them and everything. They're here. So they will come out again eventually, if nothing more than to give them away to somebody. But anyway, I haven't even read the books yet. I need to get in there and read some of the stories and stuff.
You haven't read the books yet?
No, I haven't read the books yet. No, I set them over out of the way, and then I just haven't touched them since.
Well, and are there two? One in scale, one HO?
Yep, and I have both of them here. So
Yeah.
Hey, Wilmer, he said he never got the box car. Were you on the list? You should have got it if you were on the list.
yeah, should have. Well, everybody should have, but it got held up 2 or 3 times, and I don't know that it made the rounds to everybody that was on the list.
Oh, okay.
In fact, well, we know now it didn't because
Yeah.
Wilmer
Yeah,
didn't get it.
Yeah, it did. And I think I was on the list too, long before got on the show.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he
yeah,
says,
like I said, I need to get with Shannon and see what he wants to do with that. I don't know what he's going to do. Anyway,
interesting.
I mean, I'd be all for sending
Allie
it
says
to
that
everybody
it
else.
added 3 hours to Shannon. It's 2:30 where she's at, if I'm understanding that right.
Oh, you're talking to Allie? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 hours difference apparently from where she is to he is. I don't know.
Yeah, she's in the Perth area on the West Coast, and he's in Victoria, which is over closer to the East Coast. So clear across their country. But yeah, anyway, but yeah, I'd be all for sending these on. The thing is, I think the reason Shannon wanted to change is because it's got names of all the original people plus a couple. And I think he wanted to get it more up to date, signatures and stuff like that. But there again, I'm not ahead of it, so I'm taking my orders from him. Oh, one thing I did notice today, it is Simon Saucy's birthday. I don't know how old he is today, and I don't think he's in chat, but he used to be one of us here on the show. So
Yeah, I haven't heard.
Simon, if you see this later, happy birthday.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while. Yeah, he makes drones.
Yeah, I think he's gotten busy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what else are we talking about?
I don't know. Everybody's saying,
What are you doing,
I don't see
Jerry?
any questions in chat.
well, everybody said they never got the box car.
Yeah.
Gary, Wilmer was first on the list.
They made several different stops, but I'm sure they didn't make everybody that was on the list. Well, we know they didn't, but yeah, they did make several stops. And I haven't written in the book yet either, so That's the other thing I need to do.
Was there a way to confirm who was on the list?
Shannon's got the list.
Well,
I do not. I do have. I can go and find an onion where I saw it now.
I'm just wondering if
Okay.
just
Yeah.
because you asked to be on the list, where you put on the list. You know what I mean? Like how did like Wilmer know that he actually made the list? I'm not picking him out, but just an example.
I can't answer that.
You don't know. Yeah, you
I
don't.
can't answer that. Shannon had all that information.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was like a public list somewhere where you could go.
I don't have any kind of. I don't think there's any list on there.
Yeah, no, don't spend
I mean,
time looking for it.
Yeah, I don't think there was a list in the paperwork, but I just looked at it briefly, but it could be in there.
Email.
I do know he said he was going to redo it.
Mm-hmm.
How far
That's
does
all I know.
the back on track moderator's email go? Would there be anything in there?
Probably.
I don't think so. Let me look here real quick.
It's no big deal.
You should be able to, as long as that email has been active, you should be able to go.
Yeah, it may be in there,
unless
but
you
it's going to be
permanently
way.
deleted stuff.
Yeah, that I agree with Allison. That's what I was saying. I think it's on our back on track now. I think there were lists there that people could get it.
It might be.
Once you got the car, I don't understand. Once you got the car, say I got the car. How do I know who to send it to?
We would tell you.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think Shannon was only giving out addresses to the person that had it, to the next person that was supposed to get it.
Oh, okay.
And that way, not everybody's address is out there because not everybody wants that stuff
Oh, sure, yeah.
widely known. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why he was doing it that way. But I have no details on this thing other than that.
Yeah, it's no big deal. For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I'll have to find out. I'll drill him next time I see him and see if we can figure out what's going on, or maybe I can email him this week.
Yeah, Steve Anderson nailed it on first rule of back on track. Don't assign any projects to Shannon.
Maybe Shannon's plate is too full for something like that. I don't know.
Well, it could be. I mean, he's got 3 kids now,
Yeah, just got
And,
so much going on, and who's this? Nobody wants to say no, I won't do it. So you do it, and then like you overwhelmed with stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But anyway, I know he was wanting to redo the cars, modernize compared to what we're doing on the show now, or people on the show now, as opposed to what's on the cars.
I mean, like having a new set of cars go around. Is that?
That's my impression that he was talking about doing that.
Yeah, he was going to 3D print the cars, supposedly.
Yeah, something like that, and fix them up and do it that way.
Yeah. I couldn't run them on my layout.
No. Oh, yeah.
At least not yet, anyway.
Yeah,
Eventually, I will have HO somewhere, but that's still a ways away.
Well,
Okay.
Jeff, the news says his topic is anybody here seen about the Rockville Bridge in Maryland, PA that had a Norfolk Southern derailment? No.
I did, but like that's a topic that's like specific to an area. Somebody in Washington or Oklahoma isn't going to hear about that.
No, never heard of that.
Yeah. Not unless there's deaths or something involved, then we might.
Like bad.
And of course, in my case, I don't listen to the news, so I probably wouldn't hear it unless somebody here told me about it.
I know one of the things that I was interested in was, I can't remember where it was at, but there was a steamer that apparently they didn't have the turnout turned the correct way.
That was Strasbourg.
Yeah,
Strasbourg. Seen the video on that.
I was
that was
wondering
something.
if what the fallout of that was. How did that happen? Why did it happen?
Because
that just made me nauseous.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly.
I'm glad nobody was hurt. It didn't, or at least it didn't appear that anyone was.
Yeah,
hurt.
and I think they've
Don't
got it
actually
back on the
know,
track.
but-
They've got it back on the track and going again. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you
really?
exactly how that
Yeah, it
happened.
got fixed a couple days later. It was just the front plate that got broken.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You know,
good. It looked to me like
Smoke door,
that was
the smoke
like
box.
$1 million
Yeah,
accident, but apparently it wasn't. Awesome.
It looked
No.
worse than it was. Yeah. So what happened there is they're doing track work there, and they're getting ready to tie in their line to a yard that they're building there, and they've been doing work back and forth. And I guess the MOW people didn't throw the switch back once they put that excavator away.
Mhm. Well,
Mm.
yeah, but the bottom line is that's the engine crew's fault.
Well, yeah, but again,
So
like,
explain why it would be the engineer's fault, Steve, because there's lots of things I have no clue about when it comes
well,
to
here's
real
the
railroad
deal.
operations.
The switch should have been lined and locked for the movement, not to the track that the engine. Okay, so
yeah,
that crew screwed up by doing it. Okay, but
Yeah.
it's the train crew's responsibility. That's yard limits.
yeah,
So yard limits is moving basically like this. And the definition is I don't have it, but basically you have to move within the range, half the distance of your range of vision. You're supposed to be able to stop, short of a switch not properly lined, a car, a locomotive, a person,
right,
track obstruction. So whatever speed you're traveling at, you have to be able to stop within half that distance. So these guys are just being, oh man, here we go, throttle out, we're going to boogie.
yeah. It's just like they're doing this movement a million times, saying this millionth and one time that they didn't watch the switch.
And roading, that's how people get killed.
Yeah.
Just that simple.
So what you're saying is that the engineer should have been able to see that the switch was thrown the wrong way and had enough time
They
to
don't
big
go
hole the
fast.
engine and got it stopped before.
Right. And Jerry hit the nail on the head. They've done that a million times.
Right.
And that's how complacency gets people killed in railroading. Because you've done it a million times.
So not to defend them, but what those guys do, the engineer and all the people on the engine, it's a movement. They push and they pull, right? So they're running around their train. So they're passing their train, right? So they're waving to everybody on the train.
Right.
They're not looking ahead. That's really what it is.
I don't remember the video. I watched it, but I don't remember it. Was there like a marker that would show that the switch had been thrown? A little flag marker or something like that they would have seen more so than just looking at the rail?
I think just looking at the rail, I really don't know. There might have been a derail there. I don't really know. But
I don't remember seeing
I don't know.
flag.
Yeah.
I watched it several times, but I know very little about real railroad operations, or even fake railroad operations.
Yeah. I don't know if there's, Steve, to answer your question, I don't think that there's a ground marker for it. I really don't know.
Is a marker on that switch.
Yeah.
When they throw that switch, it goes like this, and they're generally yellow.
Right.
So these guys weren't looking. I hate to say it, but I'll throw the
No, they weren't looking for sure.
Yeah.
No. No doubt. They would probably tell you that they weren't looking.
And that's the difference between a tourist railroad and a real railroad. Because these guys, they should take it more seriously than that. That's how crap happens.
You got that, Dennis?
Yeah. I figured if he was going to be here, he'd be here by now. Unless I hear a knock on my door.
Yeah. Well, Bill, show us what you're working on.
Okay.
You're getting close to being done.
I'm getting closer. You're never done. I'll show you here. I'm getting a little bit more scenery done. I got my little water feature finished up. So actually, I just spin the camera a little bit right now. So I've been working over here this week. Now, it's not a lot different than before, but I've been putting in more details. So I've been putting in more scenic materials along the cliff, a little bit more grass and vegetation coverage in the back just to kind of fill it in, make it look more realistic so that it's not so much rock showing, but again, there's continuity between everything that I'm doing on this. And then let's see what else I've been doing here. Let me grab.
I like the tape measure pointer.
Yeah, I figured, you've got the cool one. I'm just going to go old school and just, So, I've been doing the super tree material, the little sprouts, just kind of putting them in. I've been starting to do some work on the ground cover, the transition between the cliffs and where I'm going to have, I don't know, a little maintenance area, a little work area, junk area for the narrow gauge. Then this week I also came in and I got all of the track and ties painted. When I started to clean this area off, I realized I had not painted the track and ties. So I've got that done for everything in this area as well. So I can actually start doing ballast up along over here and get that area finished. And I can start doing a little bit of ballast on the lead coming in. This building is going to be taken out, but I'm going to use it as a template for a scratch build that I'm going to end up putting back into this spot, almost identical to it, maybe just a little bit narrower. So did that stuff over on this side. And then let's go over here and I'll show you my finished water feature. I got that poured after the show last week and it turned out pretty good. So I've got my little river piece. So that is 3 pours of epoxy resin. The top coat has a little drop of like a dark blackish gray acrylic paint that I mixed into it just to give me a cloudy look, kind of make it look a little muddy. Then I came back in with Mod Podge, and it's hard to see, but that's what I wanted, is just some little ripples and waves kind of coming in this direction. A little bit of acrylic paint, just again, super small highlights to give it look like a little bit of bubbles on the surface of some of those ripples. So I got that finished up. And then the last thing that I did over on this side is I came back in with chalks and I ran them on all sides of the rail so that it looks like, my tie plates are a little on the rusty side. Not excessive, but enough to kind of give it that little bit of color to make it stand out from the ballast. Same thing along the bridge. And then kind of going on this track up to the seam, which is down that way a little ways.
Hey, Bill, I got a question on your water.
Yeah.
That resin, when it's cured, how is the top? Is it pretty good and hard, so you don't get any kind of marks in it or anything like that?
No, if I took a knife to it, I could scratch it. But if anything just accidentally drops on it, or the stuff falls off the tree, I can blow it off or sweep it off.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Can we get a ground level view of the tree? Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, came out really nice.
How many scale feet would that be? That's a big tree.
Let me get my pointer.
I'd say close to 60.
I think I measured it once, and I think it was like 45. But
yeah, you measured it last week because I
yeah,
thought
a little bit.
Actually, a pretty small tree.
I thought
it's
so
it
it's a small
is,
tree.
yeah, it's like 11 inches, so about 44, 45 feet is this down here. So if I wanted to make it, scale, I would probably end up having it, like up to here if I wanted to have a big tree.
Now, what kind of tree would that be? A oak tree or?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like an elm to me.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
That's
not-
yeah.
it's not a
one of
rock,
those
he's not
trees
sure.
that whatever you want it to be, it is. So an oak, an elm. One of these days I'm going to try scratch building a weeping willow. I've got an idea on how to do that, but that would be for maybe a future layout or a display diorama or something.
Well, Bill, if it was a rock, you'd know what it was.
I'd know what it is if it's a rock. Most of these, the trees are just fun to build. Like we were talking last time, it doesn't take long to build them, and it's super easy to work with the materials.
Yeah.
Mr. wants to know where the tire swing is.
No tire swing on that one. There might be a tire swing on some other tree at some other point. And who knows, maybe in the future I might add one. I've got a bunch of stuff that I can't open until Christmas that I got from Caboose Stop Hobbies. And I bought all kinds of things, and I don't even remember what all it is. But I know I'm getting some hobos, and I'm going to put a hobo camp in, I'm going to put a hobo camp down this way. I've got this little area right in here, which is kind of offset from the track. Be a nice little spot to put a couple of hobos in there.
That's perfect.
But anyway, so that's what I've been up to this week.
So, Bill, I got a question. Right where your coffee cup is, what's going on with all that dead end track?
Well, so what I'm thinking of doing is like right in here, this is going to be a little warehouse. So this I'm imagining as a waypoint on the narrow gauge. So this will be a place where they can come in, get some supplies. I do have a water tower kit that I'm going to build that's going to go probably right in this way. And it might even have a two spout off the water tower to feed here and over here. And then I've got a O-scale like little conveyor so I can have coal dump in. And what I'm thinking right now is I'm going to probably scratch build a real narrow little engine house for right here, just to do basic engine service. That way stuff can kind of come in. I can have some freight cars in here. There's going to be a road coming across right through here, little gravel drive to access this area. Over here is going to be storage of odds and ends, junk, maybe broken freight cars, maybe another little building of some type. So it's going to be a busy area, but just like a small midline service facility.
Yeah. Bill, here's an idea. I just thought when you said talking about your engine house and of course that track being close to the edge like that.
Have it opened up.
If any of it that hangs off the edge of the, over the edge of the fascia, if you chop that part of the building off.
Yep.
So you could see the inside of it.
Yeah, and I was thinking the exact same thing, because a lot of engine houses, will have the main house, and then there'll be like a little off building for, like service or a shop area. So yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That would be pretty cool to have, engine house come up to over like maybe to here, and then have essentially this part obviously missing, but then you could just look into the building. So yeah, I'm giving that some serious consideration.
Yeah, that would be a cool feature. Be a good place for a lot of small detail stuff.
Yep, and I got all kinds of small detailed junk that I can put into areas like that.
So, hey, Bill.
Yes.
So, at the rate you're going, what are you going to do after this?
Good question. This will still take me probably a couple of months before I get it to a point where I think I'm reasonably done. And the reason for that is when I start doing some scratch building of buildings, it's going to take time. I'll have the basic scenery done probably, honestly within a couple of weeks. I've got some work to do on the other side on this module. Like, up here, I had to do the background this week because I didn't do it. The other side, it's the same. I've got to go back in and I've got to add details, background, add some grass. So I've got a lot of stuff to do. And then I noticed today in my pre-mail delivery notice from the Postal Service, I've got a letter coming in from the Greenberg trade show. So hopefully I've got good news, and then I'm going to be able to show this in Richmond in January.
Oh, that'd be cool. Have a nice day, Gail. Have a good day, Gail.
So anyway,
bye, Gail.
That's what I've been up to.
Yeah, because I think you're going to be done soon.
Yeah,
It's not going to be too
looking
long.
good.
And you got no more room in the garage, so you can't start another project.
I'm completely lost.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do when I'm done. Maybe I'll start doing some little modules, because I know there's an N-Track club in and around Richmond, and I'll get some information on them and maybe join, so I can at least do some module stuff. And eventually this one won't go anywhere. The HO scale won't go anywhere, but maybe at some point in time I might sell the N scale so that I can do another N scale, or maybe, I think I've talked maybe a trolley line where I've got a lot of city buildings. I can do, again, HO scale in the space of the N scale because it's tight radius curves. There's a variety of things to do. I'll just have to kind of choose what I might be interested in. But I've still got some time, because I've still got work to do on the HO scale. I've still got even scenery to do over on the N scale that I haven't finished, and a lot of detail stuff. So yeah, I'm still 6 months away from a time where I'm kind of like, I really need to start figuring out what I'm going to do next.
Well, you still have Z scale and S scale you can do.
Z scale and S scale, and I've got like.
There's also HO narrow gauge, Bill.
Yep, there's a lot. I've actually got some HO narrow gauge stuff, and I've got plenty of Z scale flex track that a guy sold on eBay as N scale, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 5 bundles of Z scale flex track. Z scale might be the way to go. I don't know. It's going to depend upon my eyes in 6 months if I can see it or not.
Well, it'd probably be about the same cost as HO narrow gauge, price wise. Both of those would be pretty pricey.
Talking, I got to turn the volume up here. You were talking like last week about switches. I've got HO N30, like the dual gauge tracks. I got flex track, and I've got a handful of switches that I bought years and years ago that are dual gauge that just kind of sitting, who knows, maybe someday you get it out. And I've got some ON or HON30 stuff, a few cars and a few odds and ends. And I think I've got an old Shay I bought that's kind of junk, that's narrow gauge. So who knows, maybe I'll just have to bring down all of my boxes I've got stored and see what I've got and see what I want to do.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you're going to have to make room for it too, whatever you do.
Yeah, that's the key thing. Where can I squeeze?
Do you not have a spare bedroom somewhere in the house that you can commandeer?
Got a spare bedroom, but I've been told pause off for a while anyway. I've already threatened that when the kid gets out of high school and goes to college, like his room, he comes back, he's not going to recognize it. But I've got room in my office.
Secure those trackage rights as soon as you can.
In my office, I've got a really nice wall above my desk, from where I work, and I could easily do, a 2-foot shelf layout that would be about 10 feet long. So I've got opportunities to do something that's just, again, kind of picking the theme and seeing what I want to do. I could do a really nice Z scale actually up there, because I could do almost as much in that space as I can do with the 3 by 15 N scale that I've got out here in the garage. So
I'm with Steve. He says with that much Z scale flex track, you make a long cross country railroad.
You could. The only thing that's holding me back at this time, again, is these things. And, my hands just are not really steady. So I can get frustrated with N scale, keep with a re-railer to put stuff on the track. Z scale, it's really cool. And if I can get some stuff, maybe.
Stick to the big stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm having a blast with the O scale and the ON30, because it's massive. I could easily get on the tracks. I don't have to strain my eyes when I'm doing detail work.
Yeah.
I flirted with the idea of doing S narrow gauge, but just the availability of the HON with Blackstone stuff kind of sealed that fate for me.
Yeah. Even as little of that there is out there, the S scale is even more so.
Right.
The S scale narrow gauge would be a really good gauge to model in, but there's just not much out there. That's not, most of it that's out there has been scratch built.
Yeah.
Including rolling stock and engines. I think there's one company I think is dedicated to S scale narrow gauge, but one company's not enough because they're not going to put out everything that you need.
Yeah.
So,
But, you know, there's so many people are now getting, you know, the laser wood cutters and things like that. It's really starting to open up for a lot of different scales.
Yeah.
That
well, I know
a
Mark
matter of
McCardle's got
plugging something into a computer and you could produce the same, you know, wall flat or whatever it is in any scale that you need, as long as your material was big enough.
Well, I know Mike McCardle's started to do that with his McCardle Studios. He's got a couple of S scale kits out.
Yeah, I will end up with a kit or two of his eventually. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and S scale is a neat scale. That's like when I got hooked on trains when I was like 2. That's the scale that my grandfather had, and I can remember sitting on his lap and trying to grab everything, and him telling me no as watching the trains run. But it's it's more massive than HO, not quite as massive as O, so you could still get a fair amount into a small space. And I've seen like around here, there's a lot of I call thrift shops, thrift malls, and there's some that have model trains, and there's one that's not far from here that actually had last time I was in there a lot of S scale stuff. It's the 3 rail, but it's still it looked pretty good.
How come S scale?
Say again.
How come S scale never caught on?
It's a good question. You would think that it would have been popular.
Yeah.
S is kind of like bigger than HO, smaller than O, right?
It's
it's in between.
174.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that in between. Like it's really cool, if you don't have the room for HO or O scale, but you don't want something small like HO.
The problem is it's almost like the HON3 S scale in general, whether it's narrow gauge or regular standard S scale, is still about like HON3 is. It's out there, but there's not a lot.
Yeah, it's not a lot of stuff.
I would say it's a niche within a niche.
Yeah.
Could it be that Lionel maybe killed it? That was more popular?
Probably did. Lionel, Ives, all with their scales. And I don't know the backstory on S scale. But, S stands out as more maybe scale. So it might have been somebody's answer to Lionel at one point in time to make something that was a little bit more prototypical and more detailed, but it just never caught.
So Daniel's got it all mixed up there. Got ON30, so you can run trains that are really S scale dimensions on HO track, but build O scale buildings. There you go. That's one way to handle it.
American Flyer was S scale, right? American Flyer.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
so
but there again, it was 3 rail, wasn't it? Wasn't American Flyer 3 rail like Lionel?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't remember because I didn't ever have American Flyer, so I don't know. But
I don't recall ever seeing 2 rail S scale track. There could be. Somebody'd probably have to make it and convert it, but I don't remember seeing anything that was commercially available. At least in stuff that I've seen in shows and hobby shops and whatnot.
Exactly. That's one of the things, if you model in S scale, and Allie can probably tell you this because that's what she's got, is you almost have to hand lay your track. I don't know of a commercially available flex track or turnouts or anything. There may be somebody out there that's got them. That one company I was talking about, PBL, is that the right company I'm thinking of that has the S scale stuff?
That sounds right to me.
And they may have some turnouts and stuff, but
one of my gazettes, there's lots of stuff in the gazettes that shows all the manufacturers for S scale and stuff.
That's
like
true,
that.
yeah. And
I don't pay a lot of attention to it because I'm not in that scale, but
yeah, he's talking about the narrow gauge and short line gazette. That's what he's talking about. In fact, the whole back cover, that's all SN3 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all available. Most of them are kits, I think, but yeah, it's out there if you want to model in it. It's just going to be harder to find than most stuff, than HO or O scale for sure.
Yeah, and it's not going to be at any railroad show you go to, that's for sure.
Not very much. What'd you start to say, Steve?
I'd say Fred Weil says American Flyer was 2 rail, and that was the selling point over Lionel. And back to 1958.
Yeah. Well, and I had Lionel when I was a kid. That was my first one. Because I remember plugging the track together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, trolley line would be awesome.
Trolley line would be fun. And I've got
Agree.
some brass engines that a neighbor years ago gave me that he got from a friend when he passed. And he saw I like trains, so he just brought over a box of stuff. And I think I got like 7 brass engines, not painted, but 2 of them were like interurbans, a consist. And, you could put something like that on a trolley. A trolley is something that I'm definitely giving some consideration to.
It's a lot you can do with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with that, like operating overhead.
Yeah.
Wires and stuff like that.
Really
That'd be cool.
Tight curves, little stub switches. There's a lot of things I could do, and I could, finally get some practice, maybe building my own switches. And it has some appeal, to say the least. Plus, if I do it in HO scale, in the crates that I've got up there, I've got tons of design preservation buildings, row flats for house and apartment buildings. I got all kinds of stuff that I wouldn't have to buy that could fit on a layout like that.
Yeah, it would be pretty ideal. You could pick Baltimore or some place that had a trolley line.
Yeah, even like Richmond, we went to a park a couple of weeks ago and went through old downtown Richmond. They were doing road work going through where the businesses were, and as they were tearing up the old road, what was down the middle of the street? Tracks for an old trolley line.
Oh
yeah. Every city, town had trolleys at one point.
Well, they had one back, I think, in the 20s and 30s. I'm not real clear on it because I never have looked into it, but they from Tulsa to Sand Springs. Sand Springs is probably 10 miles from here, close to that. And that was a trolley line, went out along the Arkansas River.
Yeah.
Right along the river. Yeah, the tracks, I mean, they still use the tracks. It's mostly industrial stuff out there now, but they still do run a train through there every now and then. They had a trolley went out that way. Yeah. And I don't know if it was an electric trolley or how they ran it.
Yeah.
Because like I say, I've never looked into that, but it is. I have seen the pictures of some of that stuff years ago. I just don't remember what it was.
What I might do in the future is, if I kind of want to pursue that, is I'll pull up from the Library of Congress the Sanborn fire insurance map database.
Yeah.
I'd be able to see any city that would happen to have had trolley tracks back around like early 1900s through about 1940s. Plus, it would also then give, the width of the road. It would give all of the buildings along those sections of the map, the dimensions of the buildings, what they were constructed of. Couldn't see them, face on, but from a map view, I would know exactly how things were laid out. And if I find something that would be interesting, all the detail and information is there that you could plan something off of. It wouldn't necessarily look like what the original did, but the layout could look a lot like what an original setup was.
Yeah, not many people are going to remember what it originally looked like, but if you
might find some
areas
pictures of some different things. But
sure.
Once you get an area that you find, but the Sanborn fire insurance maps, you could look at any city and you can tell if you've got a trolley line that's going down, and you can see if something strikes your fancy.
Yeah, they're a good source of layout stuff. If you want to know how something was prototypically done, those are perfect. Because it shows everything on there.
Does Richmond have trolleys now, or any type of?
They've got a bus or two for tours. Look like a trolley, but they're not a trolley. No, there hasn't been anything. We've lived here for 8 years anyway.
So there's no light rail or anything. No commuter rail, nothing.
Oh, they got Amtrak. So, like, I take Amtrak for work once in a while, and I head north or south. So it's got good connections on the East Coast for that. Like even my old hometown, Independence, Iowa, back at the turn of the like more than 120 years ago, they had horse-drawn trolleys that went out to a horse racing track that used to be world famous there for a short period of time. You know, Independence, when I was growing up, a population of like 3,500. But, you know, so everybody had them, and you can find information on them. So something like that would be kind of fun to kind of explore for modeling opportunities.
Yeah, it would. It'd be different for sure.
Well,
Well, Dennis, why don't you get up and show us what you got up there?
Okay.
And for those of you that haven't seen this latest video, you got to go watch it. It's pretty funny. Or at least
Do you have your coffee cup strategically placed throughout your layout?
I do generally before I start filming.
I figured that.
Oh, Steve Anderson
We're gonna
wants
have
to
to
ask
do
you a
the
question,
show.
Bill, while he's getting the camera moved. Is the Amtrak station in Richmond still the scary part of town?
So I can't even remember what the name of the street, what it's called. I go to the substation that's sort of on the northern side of town, and they've redone that. The part they've torn down all kinds of buildings. The parking lot's huge. It's not bad. Downtown station is kind of in the middle of the interstates. I've never been to the downtown station, which is the really nice old station. So I couldn't tell you, but you know, they've upgraded Amtrak in this area quite a bit. It's actually pretty nice. Not to say that the surrounding part of the community is always nice, but the stations are getting better.
Yeah. Okay, Dennis.
All right. So, you know, right now I've got, you know, horseshoe curve here. That's what I've decided to call it, just for lack of anything else. I've got it off, and I've got what's going to be the mountainous area here where this can be pulled off as well. And I'm hoping that I can find a way that I can work on this somewhere else. I'm still kind of thinking in my mind how exactly I'm going to do that, but that's something that's on my plate. And here you can see, you know, the shape of the spline. Focus. And that's just really cool that it actually maintains its shape, and you can take it off and on at will, and, you know, just works out pretty good because I'll be able to get in here in this area and do work without that being in my way in the process. So we'll go take a quick look at the actual track work. Out here on the workbench.
Out.
Good thing Gail's at work.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, yeah.
So here's the horseshoe curve and the yard, and that all worked out pretty good. And what's going to be nice is I've got enough area that I've got track that can come out here, and I'll actually be able to run around and do some things operationally here while I have frying pan, you know, back in there, because it's probably going to be out here in the garage for a while, where this can stay there and I can still operate, use this as an interchange for the time being. And, you know, it's going to be pretty cool that I can continue working on one part of the layout and operating the other part of the layout. But that's where I'm at the moment.
Your track work is fantastic.
Yeah, I really like that little section right there.
Yeah, I hope I haven't tested it yet. Well, other than rolling stock through it. The rolling stock works pretty good. But I have not rolled a live steam engine, which I expect I'll have that finished before the end of the weekend, where I can actually run a train all the way to this point right here where that curve is. And then I can start thinking about what I'm going to do in here. I will probably start building mock-ups for frying pan this week. I want to build, I don't know if you watch John Arthur's channel, he's actually building the ice house that I have as well. We've got the same model. He's actually building it. I'm going to build a mock-up so I can kind of see how it fits in the yard there. I'll have an engine house here that I need to build. And I think that's really all I have to have for mock-ups. But that's kind of, eventually, I hope to get the cork for this before the end of the month, get this corked up, and then I can start really getting serious about being able to turn a train on the Y that exists right in here.
Question, Dennis.
Yeah.
For what you have there in this shot, where is the high point on the railroad? Is it Frying Pan or is it Silver Gulch?
Frying Pan is the high point. It's not a lot higher. It's about 3/4 to 1 inch higher, I would say.
Okay.
The track as it leaves Silver Gulch goes up to where it meets that yard about 3/4 of an inch.
Okay.
So I think I'm 47 inches, 47 3/4 at Silver Gulch. I think I'm 48 3/4 at Frying Pan. I don't remember exactly. There's not a lot of difference, but there is a little bit.
Well, I know you were talking on your video about you weren't sure if you were going to be able to get the mountain in like you wanted. Have you thought about a regular scenic divide, like a backdrop that would be in the middle there with scenery on either side of it?
I have. I don't want to do that. I recognize that it's an option that I will need to explore. But like I said I don't know if it was my last video or the video before, I really only need, the actual mountainous structure only needs to come off of here high enough that it blocks my entire view of Frying Pan.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to be difficult to do, because then whatever distance, say it's 10 inches, if I go another 14 inches above that with a tree, and even if I've got some sky holes in the tree and you can kind of see through the trees, that won't bother me too much, because it'll just be part of what's back there. I can't see what's back there because you can't see all of it, but it'll still provide the scenic block that I need to whatever's just on the other side of the mountain. And then the further I go this way, I think the easier it'll be to go high. So I might have a natural saddle in the terrain right through here, and then it will be, again, easier to go a little bit higher back between Frying Pan and this track.
Well, if
But
you
yes,
use the
if
trees
they
as Bill
come-
does, that'll be pretty easy to do.
Do what?
If you make as many trees as Bill has, that'll be pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Did anybody happen to watch the Second Section podcast with Mike Rose last Tuesday? He's got 4,000 trees on his layout.
Holy crap.
And they're all super trees. I mean, holy cow.
That's a lot of trees.
Yes.
Man.
So,
Of course, depending on the size of the layout, that if it's as big as yours or bigger, then I can see that taking that many trees.
yeah, I don't remember.
I was gonna say, if you were modeling like the eastern forests, yeah, you'd have at least 4,000 on your layout as well. You can get by with a few less modeling the west.
Yeah, and that's my plan. I want to have just enough that there's greenery, but I don't want to have to go overboard.
Dennis, what are you going to do for trees?
It's going to be a combination of super trees. I'm going to definitely look into Bill's technique. I will build a few of those.
Right.
What I did over here, of course, was Luke Talon's method for the pine trees, and I didn't really like using the what are they? The balsa wood trunks. Like, I think this one's got a balsa wood trunk. I didn't like it. I won't use balsa wood again. So, but that's my plan, is to find a way to mass produce them and just get into tree mode and start building trees.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you can beat Bill's way of mass producing them.
Yeah, and they look great. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the more I think about how good Bill's trees look, the more I think I'm going to be replacing all my Woodland Scenics trees, or a lot of them anyway. They just look so much better.
Terrible tree.
What is
what
that?
was I thinking?
Like a water tower in the distance.
Yeah. Well, that's the way they do the radio towers there around Grants Pass, where Steve lives, is they make them look like trees.
Yeah, requirement.
Yeah.
There's one of those cell towers in the Richmond area where they've made it look like a pine tree, but it's like an 80-foot pine tree, and the closest trees that are near her like 20 feet. It just stands out. So
It doesn't make any sense even doing it that way.
Like crap.
They've been better off to paint it blue like the sky.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Well, it's looking good, Dennis. And there again, guys, if you haven't seen this last video, he talks a little bit more about this in depth, and you don't want to miss the opening to the video either, because it's pretty funny. As it usually is. Well, we got about 4 minutes left. Anything anybody wants to bring up or discuss? Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. You got a question from Steve Anderson. Is doing the dry side of the mountains, right? Huh?
My thought on that was, if I can get away with it, where I actually have a dry side and a wet side. That was my original thought, but yeah, the dry side is probably going to be the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. Well, and it'd be tough. You'd have to have a lot of space to do both.
Yeah. When I come around on the Silver Gulch Loop, for sure what's on this side, the non-town side, that's going to have to be dry side. That there will be sheer cliffs there.
Dennis,
I've got a mine planned in there.
I just thought of the perfect thing, Dennis. You could have a mountain of trees after a forest fire. You're laughing. I'm serious. Who does it? No, I've never seen that on somebody's layout. Have you guys?
I like the idea of having a patch. I wouldn't do a patch.
I did a very small patch on mine.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You have one, Steve?
No, I thought about one.
I put one on mine. It's only about 3 trees, but
that would
I just put a little lightning strike area in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be so easy too. You take some twigs, you burn them in, stuff them in the ground, and then sprinkle ash from like a bonfire pit in and around it. And
you could almost stick a super tree on straight out of the box.
Yeah.
And then light it on fire.
Yeah, you light a super tree stuff on fire and you won't have anything.
No.
Yeah, it'll look like a Christmas tree going on fire. Oh yeah, because those things are dry. Well, anything else we got going on? I haven't been looking at chat. I'm assuming Steve was. He usually chat pretty close.
Of course, I wouldn't be able to get in. You guys are talking. I wouldn't be able to get in anyway. So.
I don't believe that. What? Oh, here you go. You can do some still smoldering. Use fiber optics for the still burning coals.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat too.
Yeah. Well, you see a lot of that kind of stuff at train shows, and these guys have these. They have modular clubs have their modulars layout set up, and they'll do those little modules, and they'll do something specific like that. And of course, in Oklahoma, you always see tornadoes. They always have a tornado cloud rolling through or something, and then fire in a building or something like that. And they use all the sound mods and lighting effects and that sort of thing too. So it always looks really good. But it's funny, you'll see a module of a tornado going through a field, and then the next module is like completely different than that. So you have to kind of overlook that part of it. But
kids out on a playground playing, or a circus in full swing,
it's a tornado coming at them and nobody's panicking, right?
Well, in Oklahoma, we just stand on our back porch and watch anyway. So maybe you guys in the city don't do that, but that's exactly what we do out here in the Panhandle.
Okay. Bernard's got the last question
in the
of the
city.
day.
I do that.
What material do you sandwich between those splines to achieve the width of the rail bed. I just used 5 pieces of spline. They're 1/4 inch spline. And so therefore it's almost the exact width of the rail. And then eventually I will probably come back with foam and slap foam on the side of it to create a wider road bed. That's kind of my plan at the moment. So I'll have something to glue to whatever my scenery base ends up being. That's kind of where I'm at on that right now. But it's just 5 pieces of 1/4 inch masonite glued together. Now, when I do, I'm going to have an area that has a passing siding. I'm going to figure out exactly, to get my 2-inch spacing, I am going to glue spacers directly to the side of the spline before I begin my next 5 spline. So, and that will involve some gluing and screwing, I have no doubt.
Yeah. Well, that's our hour, guys. Glad y'all can make it here. And
thanks everybody for showing up.
And guys on the panel, thanks for being here. And we will check, or I will check, or somebody will check on what is planned for the BoxCars. I know he was wanting to do some other stuff, so I'll have to find out for sure what he's wanting to do. We'll let you know. And I know there's going to be a contest. We still need to figure out what we're going to do, guys.
Yeah.
You guys right here. We need to figure out what we're going to do for a contest, for some giveaway stuff, for our anniversary, and also just because we haven't done one in a while.
And I got to get rid of the watch.
You got to get rid of the what?
I got to get rid of the watches.
Oh yeah. We had some pocket watches. Isn't that what they are?
Cool.
Yeah, like watches.
Anyway, everybody have a good week. Good weekend.
Yep.
And we'll catch you here next week. Bye.
See ya.
Take care, all.